Hi friends, it's Elena here, and today we're going to be talking about Good Friday. And it's a little confusing because it says it's Good Friday, but it can be pretty sad. It's sad because we're talking about this. We're talking about Jesus dying on the cross for us. It's never something happy, but it is good. It's so good because it doesn't end here. Jesus went to the cross and he died, but it was supposed to be us. He took our place so that we could live. And 3 days later, he rose again. This is good news. I hope that you stay tuned for the story to understand why Jesus came to do this. He loves you. Have a great Good Friday. Stay tuned.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. And now for an amazing story, inspired by the book of John, chapters 18 through 20.
For months, the Jewish religious leaders had been making plans to silence Jesus. The things he said and did challenged the way they had always lived. He was upsetting the world as they knew it.
It is better if one man dies for the people than if the whole nation is destroyed.
Then, one of Jesus' closest friends, Judas, betrayed to the religious leaders where Jesus would be praying after the Passover meal. The leaders sent soldiers to arrest Jesus, and he allowed the mob to take him.
Do you think I can't ask my Father for help? He would send an army of angels. But then how would the scriptures come true? They say it must happen in this way.
As Jesus was tied up and led away, Jesus' closest friends scattered, though Peter and John followed at a distance. What was it like for them? Try to imagine for a minute that you're Peter. Only hours before, Jesus told you,
Before the rooster crows, you will say 3 times that you don't know me.
And you, Peter, protested that you would die before deserting. But now Jesus has been arrested, and if you get too close, they might take you too. So you trail along like a stray dog as soldiers haul Jesus inside the home of the high priest.
What's happening in there?
The servant at the door frowns as she peers at you.
You aren't one of Jesus' disciples, are you?
I am not.
You're ashamed to lie, but what good will you be to Jesus if you get arrested too? You huddle close to the fire in the courtyard as voices float through a high-up window.
What's this foolishness you've been teaching?
I didn't say anything in secret. Ask the people who heard me. They certainly know what I said.
You feel sick. Now they've taken Jesus. You know nothing will stop them. Someone else asks whether you're one of Jesus' followers, and you snap.
No, I'm not.
Minutes later, another man asks whether he saw you in Gethsemane with Jesus. Your stomach churns.
Nope, not me.
You realize you have denied Jesus 3 times, just as he said, and all you can do is stagger to your feet and run away, weeping. Now, imagine you're John instead of Peter. Somewhere in the chaos, you've lost Peter. So when soldiers haul Jesus away to the Roman governor, all you can do is follow, alone. From the back of the crowd, you witness the terrible drama as the governor Pilate brings Jesus out.
What charges are you bringing against this man?
He has committed crimes.
Pilate takes Jesus away for questioning. You can only pray that he sees through all the lies and stops this madness. You're horrified when Pilate brought Jesus out again, battered and bruised.
I find no basis for a charge against him.
No, crucify him!
Crucify him!
Pilate hands Jesus over to the soldiers who force him to carry the heavy beams of his own rough cross. You know where they are going.
Golgotha.
It's a hill outside the city. As in a bad dream, you force yourself to follow. Along the dusty road, you find Jesus' mother, Mary, her sister, and Mary Magdalene. None of you can speak. You arrive at Golgotha in time to see soldiers nail Jesus to the wooden bars with heavy spikes and raise the cross up high. You strain your eyes to read the sign placed above Jesus' head.
King of the Jews.
You nearly choke on dust and grit. You've seen Jesus do amazing, powerful things, and yet he's allowed himself to be taken and battered. You glance over and see Mary sobbing, so you place your hand on her shoulder. When you look back up, you see Jesus watching his mother through the pain in his eyes.
Dear woman, here is your son.
Jesus looks directly at you, eyes filled with love.
Here is your mother.
Yes, Lord.
You are overwhelmed to know that Jesus trusts you to take care of his own mother. But the terrible truth sinks in. Jesus knows that he will die. He's planning on it, just as he's been saying for weeks. A short time later, you see him lift his gaze to heaven.
It is finished.
Then he bows his head, and you can see the life leave his body. All the air seems to leave your own lungs too. You thought Jesus was God's chosen one. How can he be dead? Now, as we move ahead, imagine you're Mary Magdalene, one of Jesus' close followers. Unlike so many others, you've dared to stay there, at the cross. And once Jesus is dead, you dare to follow the men who take his body for burial, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus.
A garden tomb.
The evening has faded, and it's now the Sabbath. You want to honor Jesus by anointing his body with spices, but it will have to wait until the Sabbath is over. So you stay hidden indoors until early Sunday morning, then you make your way through the dark streets.
The stone. What will I do about the stone?
As you arrive, you recall that a heavy stone was rolled to block the entrance of the tomb, but now...
It's gone!
You gasp as you peer inside the tomb. Gray light reveals.
It's empty!
Heart pounding, you race back through the streets to the home where the disciples are staying.
They have taken the Lord out of the tomb. We don't know where they have put him.
You can see the shock in Peter's face. John gapes, and then they both begin to run to see for themselves. At a loss, you follow slowly, weighed down with exhaustion and confusion. When you reach the garden, you see Peter and John ahead, trying to make sense of it. You hang back as they leave again.
What more is there to say?
As the first rays of dawn light up the garden, you reach the tomb. Tears spill down your face as you bend to look inside once more. Two figures in radiant white sit where Jesus' body lay. You can't even begin to think what this means.
Woman, why are you crying?
They have taken my Lord away. I don't know where they've put him.
You turn away to catch your breath and find another man standing right there. At first you think Peter or John has returned, but it's not one of them. Maybe it's a gardener.
Woman, why are you crying? Who are you looking for?
Sir, did you carry him away? Tell me where you put him, then I will go and get him.
Mary.
The moment he speaks your name, you see, you understand. It's Jesus.
Teacher!
You fling yourself at his feet because there isn't anything else you can do. Gently, he touches your shoulder.
Do not hold on to me. I have not yet ascended to the Father. Instead, go to those who believe in me. Tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God.
You rise to your feet, still weeping, but your tears are full of joy. You start to run again because you can't wait 1 second more to deliver the news.
I have seen the Lord.
Jesus chose to face death for those he loved, and now he's defeated it. Jesus is alive. It's the best news ever for everyone across all time.
Thank you.
Yep. Hello, so-and-so friends.
Hey to you and all of our viewers.
From near
and far.
Welcome to the So-and-So Show.
I'm John.
And I'm Brandon.
And we have got a show for you today.
That we do. Why don't you tell them about it, John?
Oh, no, my friend, after you.
I insist.
No,
After you.
no, I insist after you. It's time to play a game we call After You!
And now for everyone's favorite game show, After You.
This is a game that requires humility, where you want to put the other person first. So, after you.
What am I supposed to do?
We're going to balance a cup of water on a book, on our heads.
Okay.
Water balancing.
After you! Yes!
Holding your breath in a bucket of water.
After you!
Standing on a box while being hit with a palm frond.
After you. After you. After you. After you.
Nope.
Whoa, whoa.
Keeping a grape in your mouth.
What does it have to do with humility?
What?
I said, what does this have to...
Oh! After you!
Thanks for playing After You.
What a great game.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm so much more humble than you. I put you first every time.
You did not put me first.
Sure I did.
No, you did not.
Sure I did. You were the first to drop the water, the first to choke on a grape. I put you first in the game, which makes me first in putting you first. Wait a minute. Maybe I should have put you first by telling you to put me first. But if you put me first, because I let you put me first, I'd still be first at putting you first, which means, oh! It was you who were putting me first all along. Well played, Brandon. Well played.
Uh-huh. It's Bible story time with Kellen.
What's up, guys?
Not too much, Kellen. Just being soups humble.
Oh, yeah? Well, then I've got a story for you.
After you, Kellen.
No. I'm humble.
Thank you. Our story picks up just after Jesus shared what he knew would be his last supper with his disciples. His heart was very heavy, so Jesus led his disciples outside to a place called Gethsemane, a kind of garden with olive trees. And Jesus asked Peter, John, and James to keep watch so he could pray. The disciples sat and waited, tired after a full meal, while Jesus went off by himself to pray to God. It was not a happy prayer. Something very bad was going to happen to Jesus that night, and he knew it. He was so sad, so anxious, and he prayed to his Father in heaven with all his might.
My Father, if it is possible, take this cup of suffering away from me. But let what you want be done, not what I want.
He prayed this way for what felt like an hour. But when he returned to his friends, he found them sound asleep.
Couldn't you keep watch with me for 1 hour? Watch and pray. Then you won't fall into sin when you are tempted. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak.
3 times, Jesus asked his disciples to stay awake while he prayed. And each time, his friends fell asleep. And then it happened.
Are you still sleeping? Look, the hour has come. The Son of Man is about to be handed over to sinners. Get up. Let us go. Here comes the one who is handing me over to them.
The disciples watched horrified as Judas, one of their friends, came up to Jesus, followed by a large crowd armed with clubs and swords.
Greetings, Rabbi.
Friend, do what you came to do.
Judas went to Jesus at once and kissed him. This was Judas' signal to the armed men that Jesus was the one they should arrest. When they saw the signal, they grabbed Jesus. That's when Peter leapt into action. Peter took out a sword and lifted it. He swung the sword at the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear.
Yeah! Go Peter! Woo! Yes! And then Jesus' disciples fought off the armed men and brought Jesus safely back home. Thanks for the story, Kellen.
Yeah. Actually, that's not exactly what happened.
Oh, don't ruin this happy ending for me, Kellen.
So Peter cut off the servant's ear. But then, before things got completely out of hand, Jesus spoke out to the angry crowd.
Put your sword back in its place. All who use the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I can't ask my Father for help? He would send an army of angels right away. But then, how would the scriptures come true? They say it must happen in this way.
Then Jesus touched the man's ear and healed him. But Jesus' disciples, his friends, ran, leaving Jesus alone. He was arrested and taken away. To be continued.
That's not happy at all.
I know, but that's what happened. In fact, things got even worse after that.
Worse?
I don't get why Jesus was arrested in the first place. He didn't do anything wrong.
True.
And if he could have called an army of angels to save the day, why didn't he do that?
Well, it's like what Jesus said when he was praying. He told God, "Let what you want be done, not what I want." Sure, he didn't deserve to be arrested. And sure, he could have easily done something miraculous to save himself. But Jesus knew that God had a bigger plan, so he put God first. And really, by putting God first, he was putting us first, because we were the reason God sent Jesus in the first place.
Oh, so it is a happy ending?
You'll have to wait until next time to find out.
Ah, rats!
Or, you could ask somebody how it ends, or read it in the Bible. It's a very famous story.
Great idea, Kellen. Thank you for the story.
Yeah, thanks.
No problemo. I'll see you guys later.
Later. Okay, so now we know where to turn to find out how to put others first.
Yeah, the After You game!
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, right. Jesus!
Jesus put his friends first, even though they fell asleep when they should have been keeping watch.
His enemies, too. He actually healed one of the guys who came to arrest him.
He put everyone first, which brings me to a question.
Go reveal the question!
How do you put others first?
By letting them order before me at a restaurant.
Oh, yeah, or by watching what someone else wants to watch on TV.
See, that's why you sat through 14 hours of baking shows with me last week.
Yeah, and I still don't know what fondant is.
You know what? You win, friend. You win. My friend, you are definitely the most humble person alive.
Not a competition.
Well, you're number one.
No.
You're number one. You're number one. No, you're putting me first, so I'm number one. No, you're number two. You're number two.
Talk about it together.
You're number two.
How do you put others first? And we'll see you next time on the So-and-So Show. Can we go now?
Oh, after you.
Okay.
See? Now I'm number two. I'm number two. I'm number two. Wait. Ancient Romans, used to use grapes as earplugs?
I can't hear you. I've got a grape in my ear.
I have a grape in my ear. I can't hear you. Do you know what they used to use grapes for as well? Like so. When they swim. Oh, you knocked one of my. I can hear. I can hear.
End it.